September 1st, 2020. This is back on August 20th.
Hey Trump, I have a request.
Here's my request. At the end of the press conferences, when they ask questions,
Can you have the people stop asking you questions when you leave? Because they know that you're not going to answer. And you know the same thing. And they know that they're questions to make it seem like they're really there asking like questions off the top of their head when they're not. They can stop asking questions and just drop, like it's like a mic drop, and it's just silence. Because it sounds so good when I stopped hearing that lady being forceful with people.
so from this time, August 20th, until now, today, September 1st, there has been 3 press conferences where Trump was there answering questions that were asked. Today was one of them, yesterday the 31st, and then the 23rd, 3 days after. It's just a simple request, no big deal. Before I show you the only 3 press conferences that he had since that request, I want to show all of as far back as I could find of this year, where at the end of every single press conference, they ask questions, no matter what.
At the end of Trump's press briefing.
And I think that'll be before the end of the month, and I think it'll be very impressive to a lot of people. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, the Postal Service released a statement saying it has ample capacity for the election. That's not true. You just said, Mr. President.
Asking you, Donald Trump.
Of the United States of America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Stop asking you, Donald Trump, questions at the end of the press conference. Like this.
Well, and we're all set to deliver them as soon as we have them, and that's going to be very soon. Thank you very much.
Trying to speed things up a little bit, 1.25.
Like this.
We're in the same position on testing. We are lapping the world on testing, and the world is coming to us. As I said, they're coming to us saying, what are you doing? How do you do it? And we're helping them. So, no, I think we've done a great job. And one person, I will say this, one person is too many. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Why did Americans have to go to South Korea to get 500,000 tests?
If you could do that, I'd really appreciate it.
So obviously, it's a non-stop pattern where they continually ask him questions, even when he says he's done and he's leaving and he has his back turned. They just keep hounding him with questions. And regardless, it should be when you're done answering the questions, there's a certain amount of questions. That's it. That's the end of it. There shouldn't be any more rap after that.
There was great demand from patients and doctors. The expanded access program is a way of actually doing that.
Just 3 days
It
later.
fits perfectly with what the president just said about allowing people to be able to use something that we have now determined to be very safe.
I think it's something we have to really consider very strongly.
Yes, sir.
I think it's fantastic. You should get credit for that. Thank you. That's very good.
Mr. President.
Please, Rebecca. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. Convalescent plasma as a treatment has been around for 100 years. You mentioned Operation Warp Speed, which enabled this process to move along a lot faster. What went into the effort for this to be approved for COVID-19, and was that holdup political in nature?
Well, I think that there might have been a holdup, but we broke the logjam over the last week, to be honest. I think that there are people in the FDA and actually in your larger department that can see things being held up and wouldn't mind so much. It's my opinion, a very strong opinion.
So the press conference is almost
That's
over.
For political reasons. This has nothing to do with politics. This has to do with life and death. So we are being very strong and we are being very forthright, and we have got some incredible answers, and we're not going to let them be held up because every day is lives, and we're not going to let that happen. Okay? Very good. Thank you.
Mr. President, in in announcing this today, you said that the FDA has made the independent determination that the treatment is safe and very effective. Yet Dr. Hahn just said it was showing promising efficacy. So which of the two is correct?
Well, I think I'll let Dr. Hahn answer that.
So there goes that part. This is the last question. The question was asked, but he deferred it to Dr. Hahn. So at the end of the press conference, the one that's not being asked the question is Donald Trump. I asked them not to ask him any more questions at the end of the press conference, if it can just be over with, just to see if it's possible to do something that simple that makes more sense. And it just seems more authentic than anything that way.
So under our legal authority for emergency use authorization, this is not the same as an approval, but it's an authorization and allows us to expand the access to this. And our data, we know we're going to continue to collect data. We knew that for all of our emergency use authorizations. So for example, remdesivir, which was approved or authorized on May 1st, we're still collecting data, and we will continue to do that with plasma as well. So it's the nuances of the language around the authorization that we use in the legal aspects.
It's a promising treatment. It's not, you couldn't say it's very effective just yet.
So I would say that if you're one of those 35 out of 100 people who these data suggest or show survive as a result of it, this is pretty significant for that person and their family.
This is a very big day, today we've been looking forward to. Thank you very much, great question.
Was there pressure on you, Dr. Hahn, to authorize this? Dr. Hahn, could you answer that question? Dr. Hahn, authorize this.
So that message was directed to Dr. Hahn. It was 3 days later. They just didn't ask Donald Trump a question.
You didn't answer the question. How did you answer the question?
Appreciate that. And so if you can do that, greatly appreciate it. And on top of that, with your news conference, the next one, whether it's today or tomorrow, Thursday or Friday, can you have the people stop asking you questions when you leave? Because they know that you're not going to answer. Can you have the people stop asking you questions?
Been looking forward to. Thank you very much, great question.
Was there pressure on you, Dr. Hahn, to authorize this? Dr. Hahn, could you answer that question? Dr. Hahn, authorize this. You didn't answer the question. How did you answer?
So that's a little nugget thrown in my direction. I'll take it. I'll take it because they did not ask Donald Trump a question. However, let's move forward. The next press conference, because there was all types of rallies and other things going on, that there's only been 3 news conferences that I'm aware of that have the ability for people to ask Trump questions at the end. So this one was yesterday.
And we'll be there very quickly. Tomorrow we're making that trip to Wisconsin. I think a lot of you are going to be going, and it should be very interesting. Should be very interesting, but we're proud of it because in 6 days, it's been like a different world. And it took place immediately. As soon as we surged, as soon as we went in, it took place immediately.
I'll play the last minute and get the context of the next press conference after that simple request.
I will say this, I honor law enforcement. We wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for law enforcement. We have to stop this horrible left-wing ideology that seems to be permeating our country. And basically it's weakness. It's weakness on behalf of Democrat politicians and Republicans. We don't have problems. You take a look at our cities. Our cities are doing very well. They're safe. They're secure. I spent a lot of time in
Safe and
Texas, as you know, just a couple of days ago. And
Hanging out with
I was
Johnny.
with the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott. He was explaining they wouldn't put up with it for a minute. They just don't have the kind of problems that other people have. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mr. President,
Okay, well, I mean, they did ask him questions, but at the end, it almost silenced a little bit faster, right?
They're doing very well. They're safe. They're secure. I spent a lot of time in Texas, as you know, just a couple of days ago, and I was with the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott. He was explaining they wouldn't.
I'll
put up
count
with
how
it
many
for a
seconds
minute. They just don't
until
have
they-
the kind
there was
of
a
problems
silence
that other
and-
people have. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
1, 2,
Mr. President,
3. Okay, so 3 seconds. That's good. They had their time, but they had 3 seconds and that was it. So that was basically like a mic drop. Again on August 20th.
When you're done the press conference, if they can stop asking questions and just drop, like it's like a mic drop, and it's just silence, because it sounds so good.
August 31st, yesterday.
Explaining they wouldn't put up with it for a minute. They just don't have the kind of problems that other people have. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
3, 2, 1.
Mr. President,
How good does that sound? It's silence. That sounds so good. It's perfect. Thank you, Trump. But wait, there's more. Now this one's today, so there's only 3 of them so far since the request for people to like stop asking questions and or silence them slowly, shortly, because I know you can't really do it all at once, but you can do it little at a time to get it conditioned to where it's not a big jump, it's not a big shock that you're actually listening to my advice, which is to just silence the fake news media from asking you questions, because there has not been a time that I can find so far that you actually, man, I think there might be one, when you left a press conference, not a rally, not something where you're in like a round room, a press conference. Well, no, it can be a round room. Anywhere where you have people asking you questions is where can you have it to where it's quiet, because they don't need to ask any more questions. It's over. And frankly, it seems a little disrespectful to you, Trump, where like they didn't get enough of your answers. They just can't be quiet and just be respectful once you say, like, say like, all right, one more question and that's it. And then I'll see you tomorrow. Something along that lines. That'd be nice. And then if they can just respect that and step off without asking another question, it's really no big deal. It just, I haven't seen it the entire time that I've started to pay attention. And if anybody can find a time where Trump's press conferences where they didn't ask him one question when he was done, send the link somehow.
Get there, the place is disintegrated. And then they say it was a peaceful protest. It's not a peaceful protest, and you shouldn't call it a peaceful protest. Okay, one more, please.
Pastor, could the pastors answer my question, please? My question was to the pastors.
Say it again.
The peaceful protests that have happened.
You're going to have to speak up, sir.
The peaceful protests that have happened, you've acknowledged some of them are peaceful. They're calling for structural change. Mr. Blake was shot, I think, 7 times in the back.
Sure.
Do you believe that there is a need for structural change? What is your message?
Well, I think people are calling for structural change, and then you could take the people of Kenosha that aren't here and that you won't see and that aren't protesting, but they want change also. They want to see law and order. That's the change they want. They want law and order. They want the police to be police. They want the police to do what they do better than anybody else in the world, and that's what they want too. You don't see them marching and you don't see them on the streets, but what they want is they want great police force. They want people that are going to keep them safe, where their houses aren't broken into, where they're not raped and murdered. That's what they want. And they're protesters too, but they don't walk down the street, up and down the street. So you know, just the way it is. Just the way it is. So I want to thank you all, and I'll see you back at the plane. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, folks.
Oh, no. So before him jumping in, what was that at the end? It was silence to the fake news media. It's time for the fake news to be quiet and start telling the truth. Now let me just reverse it. This is the last one. Rest in peace. September 1st, which is today. Unlike any other news conference.
Graded. And then they say it was a peaceful protest. It's not a peaceful protest, and you shouldn't call it a peaceful protest. Okay, one more, please.
He says, one more, please. And that's exactly what they do. They ask him one more.
People that are going to keep them safe, where their houses aren't broken into, where they're not raped and murdered. That's what they want. And they're protesters too, but they don't walk down the street, up and down the street. So, you know, just the way it is. Just the way it is. So I want to thank you all, and I'll see you back at the plane. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Silence.
When you're done the press conference, if they can stop asking questions and just drop, like it's like a mic drop.
Democrat politicians or Republicans, we don't have problems. You take a look at our cities. Our cities are doing very well. They're safe. They're secure. I spent a lot of time in Texas, as you know, just a couple of days ago, and I was with the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott. He was explaining they wouldn't put up with it for a minute. They just don't have the kind of problems that other people have. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
It's just silence.
You see the volume. I'm not touching the volume. On August 23rd was the first press conference out of the 3.
Test or show survive as a result of it. This is pretty significant for that person and their family.
Can you have them stop asking you a question, Trump?
Was there pressure on you, Dr. Hahn, to authorize this? Mr. Dr. Hahn, did you answer that question? Authorize this. You didn't answer the question.
That's 3 for 3. Because in this one, Trump took the reference, can you have them stop asking you questions at the end? All right. He's not going to do it where everybody is completely silent, but there's a way of doing it. This way here is they were asking Dr. Hahn questions. Then in the next one, it's a mic drop. After he walks away, 3 seconds later, it's silent. So he used the mic drop silence reference in this one. And then on the final one, today, that was yesterday, today.
That's what they want. And they're protesters too, but they don't walk down the street, up and down the street. So, you know, just the way it is. Just the way it is. So I want to thank you all, and I'll see you back at the plane. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And that's just complete respect. He's done. Fold the book up. He's done. That's it. Go about your business, everybody.